Welcome to weekly Zohar connection class. Good evening. We also, Baruch Hashem, we are getting more advanced. We're going to be on Facebook Live for whoever couldn't make it here tonight. Tonight is a very special night. First of all, the portion is Devarim. We're going to start a new book, the fifth book of the Torah, portion Devarim. It has two meanings. It has the meaning of things like materials and also speeches. Tonight is also the anniversary of passing of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, Arya Kadosh. Is the Kabbalist, lived in Israel, in Tzfat, in the 1500s. Everything we learn, everything we will learn, everything we learn so far is from Arya Kadosh. His wisdom, his understanding of the Torah beyond anything we can imagine. We're going to talk about him. This portion also talking about Ninth of Av. Monday, this coming Monday is Ninth of Av. Always the portion Devarim and Ninth of Av, they come together. So we're going to talk about the Ninth of Av. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is about time. If you remember last class, we talked about Bnei Israel took him 40 years to travel from Egypt to Israel, but in reality it takes only 11 days to make that journey. So we're going to talk about time. Is time controlling us, or we are controlling time? And all of this subject, I studied the whole week. Everything I learned, any book, anything I studied this week, was talking about our sight, to see, to sight. How powerful our sight is, seeing. The Kabbalists, they believe that the month of Tammuz is related to hearing. That's what we learned in the past month. And this coming month, the month of Av, related to Tisha B'Av, Ninth of Av, related to the Ari, everything has to do with our eyes, the sight. Let's start with the Ari. Arya Kadosh, he was born in Jerusalem in the 1500. Tonight is his anniversary, that's why we have these wonderful candles for him. We want to connect to Ari first of all. We want to connect to his wisdom. We want to connect to his soul. He is our teacher. He is our teacher. This journey that we decided, this journey of Kabbalah, of spirituality, Ari is our teacher. So we want to connect first of all to our teacher, to our master. In Kabbalah, in spirituality, there is a very special relationship between student and the teacher, very intimate relationship between student and teacher. In some circumstances, they're even closer to us than our own father. Our father gives us life, gives us business, how to do things, but the relationship between the student and the teacher is pure love and chesed. So as Ari is being our teacher, we want to connect to him tonight. We want his guidance, we want his help, we want his connection to continue supporting us in this journey. So Ari was born in Jerusalem. If you go to Jerusalem on the way to the Kotel, you go through the little streets, there is one house. It says this is the house that Ari was born, and now it's like a museum. You can go and visit it. And then Ari, for some family or business situation, he moved down to Egypt. Can you believe he had to move down to Egypt? He spent many years in Egypt, and then he came to Tzfat at the age of 36, Tzfat, Israel. And everything we know about Ari, whatever we're learning from Ari, came to us for the 2 years he spent in Tzfat. He arrived to Tzfat in the age of 36, and he passed on from this physical life at the age of 38. So in 2 years, he achieved this tremendous amount of spirituality, elevation. He decoded the Torah. He started this movement of Kabbalah, this wisdom of the Kabbalah. He explained to us the Zohar. He had many books about reincarnation. There is many famous stories about Ari, who Ari is and what Ari done. When Ari arrived to Tzfat, he chose one student, Chaim Vital. That was the only student he had, 29 years old. And he started talking to him and teaching him about the Kabbalah. And often they were walking in the fields, in the jungles. And Ali used to tell him, yeah, this tree or this plant is the reincarnation of so-and-so. And he has only one tikkun to do, so now he comes back as this tree or as this bush. So Rabbi Chaim, being young and didn't know what he's talking about, he go to the city and find out about that man that passed away. And it was true. There was such a man with such a name living that city. And Ari told him about him. And the only tikkun he had is to come back and be at that, like at that tree or bush. The other stories about Ari, he had this amazing sight. Again, we're talking about seeing and sight. He could see behind the reality, behind the physical world. He could see the soul of each person. He could see the correction of every person. He could see the past life of every person. One of the famous things about Ari is, he says you cannot do your correction in this life unless you know your past life, who you were in the past life. And we learn in the past classes how can we find out what's the hint about our corrections from the past life. There was another story about Rabbi Isaac Luria. He had this custom every Shabbat afternoon. He used to take a nap in his temple in Tzfat. So one Shabbat afternoon, one of the students, Avraham, he walks in and he sees Ariz is sleeping and his mouth is moving and he's mumbling, he's saying things. So he gets close to him to see what he's saying, and then Ari wakes up. And Avraham asked him, Ari, what happened? Where you were? He says, yes, I was traveling in the academies in the upper world between Moshe Academy and Rabbi Shimon Academy. The angels were taking me from one place to another. So Avraham says, Rabbi, please share with me, what did you learn? What did you saw? So Ari Kadosh responds, he says, if I was going to tell you about what I saw, what I felt, or what I learned, it was going to take 80 years. Can you imagine? He took a nap for 10 minutes, and he says the wisdom I received in that 10 minutes is equal to talking to you, to teaching you, and writing for the next 80 years. So again, remember, this class is also talking about time and controlling time. By the way, Ari means a lion. So they call him the lion of the generation, the lion of the Torah of the generation. And another story is about Ari. In one of his writings, he says, if the whole oceans turn into ink and all the skies turn into paper, that wouldn't be enough for us to write all the wisdom, all the understanding, all the knowledge that is available to us. This Ari turned to be this channel of this huge wisdom, this endless, Ein Sof of wisdom that is available in spirituality. And once a week, twice a week, we just touch a very small portion of it. So he had this amazing connection. He has this amazing sight behind reality that he could hear, see, feel, connect, download information and pass it on to us. And his language was so behind our understanding, so he had to have this Chaim Vital to write his teaching. There is no way we could understand Ari's language, even though he speak Hebrew, because it was behind his work. So he was talking to Chaim Vital, and Chaim Vital was writing and trying to understand and decoding this wisdom to our language. And many times Chaim Vital is crying. He says, but there was simply not enough time for me to write down all this wisdom, all this knowledge about Ari HaKadosh. I want to emphasize on the Ari's sight. That's the lesson to us. How we can overcome seeing just what we are seeing. How can we see behind the story? How can we understand the secrets of the Torah, decoding the Zohar? Don't just fall for the simple story. Don't just follow the simple story of our life. Try to understand the purpose of us being here. Try to understand the reason we are here. To see behind what we can feel and see with our five senses. Ari had this huge desire, first of all, to learn, to understand, to connect to this awesome, endless wisdom. This is another saying. I'm going to finish with that saying about Ari. He says, is anything that doesn't make sense to us in our life is because our eyes are not open. It's because we don't understand it. Everything makes a perfect sense. Everything is good. Everything that is supposed to be happening to us and in our community, in our country. But the reason we don't understand it, the reason it doesn't make sense to us, because our eyes are not open. Many times, there's many stories in the Torah that the Creator says, I'm going to open the eyes for the donkey, for Balak, for many others, for the wife of Abraham. He says, I'm going to open your eyes and you're going to see the truth. So anything that doesn't make sense to us is because we don't have the sight. We don't see the truth. We see this illusion. So now we're going to talk about how we can develop this sight to see the truth, to see the real world. In the Kabbalah language, the 99%. Not to see only the 1%. This section of the Torah is the last 37 days of Moshe. They arrived to Israel after 40 years. Like a good teacher, he's telling the Bnei Israel, he's reminding them all the mistakes. He's reminding them all the complaints, all the negativity. And he's trying to give them the last boost, the last teaching. So we arrived to Israel after 40 years. Moshe is talking, the Torah mentioned this 37 days, Moshe talking to Bnei Israel. The last push, the last lesson. And we call it the Malchut of the Torah. This is the manifestation of whatever we learn during the journey, during the studying of the Torah. And it always falls with 9th of Av. As we know, 9th of Av is the most negative day of the year. Also, we call it the birth of the Mashiach. There's this paradox, it's such a huge paradox, the most negative day, but we have a chance, we have an opportunity to make it the most positive day. And how we can do it. We're going to read a section from the Zohar. Like I said earlier, there is no Zohar for the section of Devarim, but it's so concealed. It's such an important section, but it's very concealed. So there is other section of the Zohar that talks about this section. We're going to read a section from the Zohar that talks about this day, talks about this negative energy. We have 365 days in a year, and we have one negative day, which is the night of Av. We have 365 nerve segments in our body, and there is one nerve, which is the sciatic nerve. We studied about it before. Is we are not in control of it. Is the Satan has a control over that nerve. So we have 365 days with one negative day, and we have 365 nerve segments with one of them that the Satan has control over. If you remember the story of Jacob fighting the night with the angel, and the angel couldn't hurt Jacob, couldn't get into him, but he hurt his, they call it in Hebrew, Neshara Gida, the sciatic nerve. That's why we don't eat that part in the animals that we consume. So let's read from the Zohar, and it's gonna get clear for us what is this 9th of Av and what is this negativity, where is it coming from. So we are in book number 5, page 280, section 100. Don't cross your legs, don't cross your arms. The Zohar connection is not only information, knowledge, it's we also connecting to the energy of the week that's going to help us to go through the challenges, through the obstacles we have this week. So we're going to read from the section 100. וכיוון דאתבטק עם יעקב לא אשכח אתר דאכיל לאתגברה עליה דיעקב בגין דכל שייפה גופה סייעי ליעקב וכולהו הבו תקיפין ולא הבו בהון חולשה מה עבד ויגע בקו ידכו בגית אנשה בזיניה ביצר הרע דאהו זיניה ואתריה ומטמן עתה יצר הרע על בני נשה. When the angel wrestled with Jacob, he could not find a weak place in his body through which to overcome Jacob, because the parts of his body were all strong and without weakness. Remember this word, weakness. And the klipa take hold only in a place of and weakness. What did he do then? He touched the hollow of his thigh, the sinew of the vein, his own kind, that is the evil inclination, which is his own kind. And there is the place of the evil inclination from where it comes to harm people. This section is talking about the weakness. In Hebrew, chulsha, chisaron. In English, lack. Remember this word, lack. Whoever likes to study, also the next page, section 103, is talking about the relation to the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av. I highly recommend it to read it at home. So what is the Zohar trying to tell us? He says, Jacob was full of light, he was full of positivity, he changed himself, he elevated himself to a positive, believing, loving, full of certainty person. And the negative angel wrestled with him all night and he couldn't find a way to get in. Finally, find a way to get in from his weakness point, from his lack. It looks like there is a law, there is a formula for the negativity to come inside our life or inside our body. What the Zohar is trying to teach us is that the negative forces, the negative, the evil inclination, the Satan, whatever you want to call it, finds a way into our life from where we think we have a lack, from where we think we have a weakness. This is the only way it can get in. But before I'm gonna erase this, so the portion is Devarim. Davar in Hebrew means material, a thing. Also, dibur means speech, the same letters, the exact same letters. So in Hebrew, which is not only is a holy language, is the language that created the whole world for us, things, material, and speech is exactly the same word. If you're familiar with mind over matter, or if you say something, it's going to happen. The law of attraction book. So it says, whatever we say become material. And is also equal to re'eh, sight. Dibur means 206, the numerical value. Also re'iyah, sight, seeing, is also 206. Remember this, we're going to come back to it. There is a connection between seeing, talking, and it's become manifested. So our daily life, we have upside downs. We get some good news in a 1% reality. We have some good news, God forbid we have some bad news. We have some good days, few hours are good, and few hours maybe they are so-so. But only in a physical reality. But in our consciousness, which is the 99% of the reality, we also have upside downs. Some days I'm full of love, I feel great, I feel happy, I'm healthy, I have certainty, I'm a totally believer. No doubts, no guilt feeling, no blaming. I'm the king, like the way we are supposed to be in Malchut. I'm the king of my life. And then there are some days or some times during our day that we feel very low. You're sad, you're depressed, we heard the bad news, we don't see the light, I have doubts, I don't see my purpose in life, I'm complaining, I don't see anything good, there's no good future. So this lesson of the Torah portion and the Zohar portions teaching us that the low days that we have in our physical life is directly connected to the low consciousness that we have. You remember I just told you things and speech and sight and consciousness are equal in Hebrew. So if something goes wrong with my business, if something goes wrong, God forbid, with the healing, if something goes wrong with the relationship that we have, it has a direct connection to the negative consciousness we have, to the negative feelings or emotions I have. In a different language, everything has to do with our consciousness. If I feel good in my consciousness, if I see everything good, if I have the certainty, if my belief system is correct, if I'm happy, if I'm practicing love, it's going to translate itself into all the goodness in my life, all the good things I'm looking for, the soulmate I'm looking for, the business I'm looking for, the relationship I'm looking for, and the health I'm looking for. But in the 99% of the reality, if I'm down, if I'm sad, if I'm disconnected, if I don't have hope, then it's going to translate itself into the reality of my life. Accident, God forbid, happen. Bad news happen. Issues with business, issues with relationship, issues with health. So, 9th of Av, coming back to 9th of Av, is the most negative day of the year. Why? Because it started the Torah. Because we, in the Torah, had the most negative consciousness. Remember the story that the Meraglim, the spies, they went to Israel and they came back, they saw bad, they spoke bad, they feel bad about Israel. They say it's a bad country, it's not a good country, there's giants over there, it's difficult over there. So that low consciousness, that's low self-esteem. That's negativity that they created with their mouth and their eyes, created the most negative day in our calendar. That's the reason it's the most negative day in our calendar. So, the Torah is not a story about thousands of years ago, it's a story of us. We all have challenges, we all have obstacles, we all have issues in financial, relationship, health. The Torah, the Zohar is telling us is coming from our negative consciousness, from negative speech, negative sight, negative mind. There is no other reason for it. There is no other reason for it. It took some time for me to explain this, but the low consciousness brings us a low reality. A high consciousness brings us a good reality. That's the reason we have this negative day. Now, it's a fact and it's here. I know traditionally we fast, maybe we don't travel, we don't listen to music, but that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to solve this negative day. Our job as a student of Kabbalah is to make it the birth of the Mashiach, to make it the birth of the redemption, to fill it up with light. So, if I have any moments of negativity, if I have any moments of low, dark, sad, depressed, whatever you want to call it, if I inject light into it, if I inject certainty and kindness and love into it, then I'm going to raise it up. I'm going to raise it up and I'm going to bring it to the level of certainty and goodness. And my reality is going to change too, accordingly. I know there are certain circumstances we're born into it, not necessarily we are responsible for that negative situation, but it's coming from our past life. We talked about it before. We are doing corrections maybe from 100 years ago, maybe from 1,000 years ago. But that's not an excuse not to inject light into it. The lesson is whatever is low in our life, whatever we feel weak, whatever we feel lack, it's the place that we need to inject light to. I know personally when we are in that moment it's next to impossible. That's why we have each other. That's why we have teachers, we have students, we have these books, we have this wisdom available for us. If we are at this low point, not another person with that low self-esteem, with a low consciousness can help us. We need to move to a positive person and a positive place in order to inject light into that section to raise our consciousness. Now let's go deeper. Why this sadness or this low esteem or this negativity or bad consciousness come to us? Like we read in the Zohar, the only reason for it, in Hebrew they call it chisaron, chulsha, in English lack, weakness. The opening the door to the negative force, to the Satan, is by having a lack, is by feeling that we have a lack. If I have a lack in financially, we are making an opening. If I believe that I have a lack in financially, then we are making an opening to the Satan. If we believe we have a lack in health, then we're making an opening. You know me all the time. I don't believe in sickness. It's a challenge. We have to overcome it. The moment we believe in sickness, you're opening the door even wider to the Satan. So, the main cause, if you remember the story of the spies, they had a lack, they had a weakness. They didn't want to lose their position. They didn't want to lose their title. They didn't want to lose, they were the head of the tribes. So any lacks that we feel, any weakness that we feel in our life, in our consciousness, that's going to bring us down. And that's going to make an opening to the negative forces. That is going to manifest itself to our physical life, to whatever we are dealing with. So it's very important for me that you guys get this point. If you believe the opening to this negative force to come in, if you believe you have a lack in anything, that's the gate for the Satan to come in. Going back to the Ari had this sight that everything is good. He saw behind the reality. When he saw a poor man, he didn't see a poor man. He see a man that he's doing his correction. When he saw a sick person, he didn't see a sickness. He saw a soul that going through transformation. There is a purpose, there is a reason. If there is a relationship issue, he didn't see it. The goodness is coming. The good times are on the way. So, so the lesson is feeling lack, feeling weakness, feeling like I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't look good enough, I'm not important enough, I don't have the biggest property or house, I don't have the nicest car. Any lack in your life is a big opening and welcoming to the Satan. We all have to try to achieve and reach the highest level we can, but not by feeling lack, not by feeling I'm not worthy, not by feeling I'm a weak person. So in order to raise the bar, in order to raise the bar first in our consciousness, then the reality, then our life is going to fall into the good places. Whatever we're looking for, whatever we need, whatever we have desire for in this physical world, first we have to raise the bar in our consciousness, in our mind, that I don't have no lacks, I don't have no weakness. There is a famous story about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that it was his time to depart from this world. Again, time. So, are we controlling time, or time is controlling us? When I'm this low, when I see darkness, when I don't see hope, when there is no happiness, time is controlling me 100%. The time is telling me when to get sick, when to feel bad. But when I raise the bar, the time doesn't control me. When we are happy and we are giving love and receiving love, when my belief system, when I have certainty, when I'm giving, what time? The time doesn't control me, I'm controlling time. So there's this famous story about Rabbi Shimon that it was his time, that was his age, his time to leave this world. So the angel of death, with the permission from the Creator, come to him. He says, this is your time to leave. And Rabbi Shimon says, no, this is not my time, I'm not going to leave. And this famous story is that the Satan, or that angel, couldn't take Rabbi Shimon. Why couldn't take him? Because he couldn't get in. There was no lack in Rabbi Shimon. There was no weakness in Rabbi Shimon. He told him, no, I have a job to do. I have responsibilities. I have students. I'm not done with my correction. Everything in my life is good and wonderful. I don't have no lack. I don't have no weakness. So that angel couldn't get in. And the angel go back to the Creator. He says, I cannot take him. There is no way for me to get inside him. You remember the story of Jacob? He fight him all night. He couldn't get in. Finally got in from So when, the psychologists, they call it positive, but where is it coming from? This is Kabbalah. When everything is good, when I learn to see behind the obstacles, when I learn to see behind the issues, that everything is good, everything is going to be wonderful. This is my purpose, this is my job. I'm not complaining, I'm not crying about my issues. I'm facing it as a with gevurah, with strength. I don't have no weakness. Rabbi Shimon controlled time because he had a purpose in his life. He had students, he was studying, he was teaching, and all he saw was goodness. If everything you see is good, if everything is wonderful, if everything is beautiful, if you oversee the wars, the issues, the bad news, if you overcome the sicknesses, the bad financials, if everything is good in our life, there is no room for a Satan to come in. So we need to transform this our consciousness that everything is good and honestly believe in it. Everything is good. It's our limited mind, our limited consciousness that we see only this moment. If you go back through your life, we had upside downs, we had issues. Now we look at those issues, those down times, actually they're working better for us. They bring us to a better place in life. So if we train our consciousness, if we train our mind that everything is good, honestly there is no bad. The Torah, the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon, Ari, they promise us over and over that everything is good. Did Ari die at the age of 38 is the bad thing? What he achieved is thousands lifetime cannot achieve what he achieved. So again, he was controlling time. In his mind, in his consciousness, he was living for thousands of years. By seeing good and speaking good and nothing but goodness. You know how we can control time? By having a purpose in life. By having a reason being here. If I'm doing my tikkun, they're going to give me all the time I want. If I'm helping the tikkun olam, if I'm helping to correct the world, the time doesn't have no meaning. If you're here to be comfortable and lazy and complain and not to be happy, there's not that much time they're going to give us. The time is going to control us. But if you find what is my purpose, if I find what is my tikkun, and on top of it, I'm going to help tikkun olam, the correction of the world, I'm controlling time. Nobody can touch us. You want to overcome any obstacles in health, in business, in relationship, close that door to Satan. Close that door to negativity. By stop talking, feeling, living your lacks and your weakness points. Any lack, if you feel like you're lacking in anything, that's a gate for Satan to come and bring us down here. And what is so bad about going down? We're all human. We all have a sad day. We all have a depressed day. We all have a tough day. What is the issue by being here? The moment I reach this low point, I start blaming other people. I start complaining. This is the economy, this is the country, is the government, is my family, is my friend, is my house, is my car, is my teacher, is my... We start blaming everybody. That's the danger of being down here. We don't like anybody, we don't want to talk to anybody. But when we are up here, it's so beautiful. Even to the people we don't like, we call them, we tell them, I love you. So look at the difference. Look at the difference. When we fall down here, how dangerous it is. But the only reason I keep saying this word, lack, the Farsi kambud. The moment you feel lack, the moment we feel weakness, the moment we feel kambud, hell break loose. That's a good saying in English. Hell break loose. The moment I feel lack. There is no lack in this planet. There is no lack of food. There is no lack of money. There is no lack of health. There is no lack of relationship. Everything is perfect. Everything is beautiful. Look at the nature. How nicely it's like a music orchestra. Everything is wonderful. But it doesn't look that way to us because we feel lack. I don't have this, I don't have that. We fall for our eyes constantly. That's the most prayer of Shema Yisrael. Unfortunately, we all say Shema Yisrael, but we don't know the meaning of it. You can say it 1,000 times, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't practice and you don't understand what you're saying. Shema Yisrael is love God, the first word. Love humanity. Love everything in your life. Who has more love in his life? A person that is up here or a person that is down here? So obviously a person up here is full of love. And even without saying Shema Yisrael, he has it. But if you're down here and you keep saying Shema Yisrael, but you don't practice what you are saying, it's not going to help you. So we have to sit down and honestly look at the lacks in our life and eliminate it. Lacks in our consciousness. I know we all have some issues in the physical world, but that's the promise of this wisdom. The moment we destroy, we eliminate the lack in our consciousness, we're also going to raise the bar in the physical world. How can we change this consciousness? How can we change the consciousness of lack to positivity? We are going back to the secret of this week, sight, seeing. We have two eyes. We have the right eye and we have the left eye. The right eye is the chesed, is the kindness, and the left eye is the judgment, is the gevurah. So how we are supposed to look? I mean, we were born this way. How we are supposed to look at the world? With which eye we're going to look at the world? This study tells us, look with neither of them. As we know, too much kindness is not good, and gevurah obviously is not good. Too much kindness, as a parent, you cannot just give kindness to your children, it's not going to work. So we have to use the eye, the good eye. In Hebrew they call it Ain Tova, Tov, good, the good eye. That everything is good. Everything is good in this life. There is no bad news, there is no misfortune, there is no sickness, there is no death, there is no end, there is no lack, there is no weakness. I have to train my eye that everything I see is good. Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from, this good? Do you remember Bereshit? Do you remember the first book of the Torah? God created the heavens and then he looked at it and he said what? It's good. He created the animals. He looked at it, it's good. He created the oceans, the human, the woman, the man. He created the sky. Everything he says is good. So if your creator created everything and he says it's good, are we have the power? Are we that brave to go against our creator's decision or creation, and it says not good. So look at the source of our issues. Look at the source of our obstacles that we have in our life. Whoever created you, whoever created this world, he says it's good. But then we come and says there was a huge bad news. There was an accident. Or this guy hurt me, or I lost my money. If everything that the Creator created is good, it must be good. You know, the end is good. God created something, there's a one sentence, it's created, he go through the process, but in the end he says it was good. Of course, you know, we have to go through our tikkun, we have to go through the process of growing. Of course there is pain, of course there is tough times, there is obstacles. But it's in the process of building something. But the end is good. The end is good. You're going through a health challenge, the end is good. It's a challenge, it's a purpose, there is a reason for you to learn something. To have more certainty, come closer to who you are. So, that was the whole Torah is connected. Even though we study this portion of the Torah, we can go back to different sections. So we all in the process of building something. You want to build a house, you go through a lot of pain, a lot of process, tough times, argument. But the end is good. The moment the house is built, it's good. So have the sight that I'm in a process of something. I'm in a process of my tikkun, my correction. I'm in the process of my job to do on this planet. But the end is good. There is another secret about this 9th of Av. How you say 9 in Hebrew in a letter language? Tet, right? Tet. So 9th of Av is Tet of Av. Also Tet controls the month of Av. So we have Tet that controls the month of Av. Also Tet to Tet of Av, which is the 9th of Av. What word in Hebrew starts with a Tet? Tov. So look at this secret. 9th of Fatima, you ask me why 9th of Av? That's why 9th of Av. It's a negative day, but there is so much goodness is hidden in it. The month is good, the day is good. We have to put on the right perception. You want to go through 9th of Av in the easiest and best way? Have a good sight. Everything you see is good. Don't complain. Don't see bad. Don't see negativity. Don't see bad behavior. Don't see ugliness. The correction of 9th of Av is the correction of I. Everything you see is good. The Meraglim, whoever started 9th of Av, they saw bad. They bring a bad report. What else? Let's talk about the anatomy of our body. What is the job of our eye? What is the job of our mouth? In the past classes, we always talk about Lashon Hara, the evil speech, and how bad and negative and how destructive it is. Guess what? Our eyes are more powerful than our speech. Our eyes confirm everything in our body. I hear a noise, I have to turn my head and to look at that noise to confirm it. I taste something good, I have to look at it to see what was it that tasted good or tasted bad. I smell something good or bad. With my eyes, I'm looking for confirmation. I touch something, good or bad, soft or rough. I have to confirm it with my eyes. So our eyes is confirming everything we see, smell, hear and touch. It looks like our eyes is our boss. Our eyes create images that goes to our consciousness and goes to our mind. And that images dictates, tells us how to feel, where is your emotions, to love or hate, to feel good or to feel bad, to be happy or to be sad. So the images that we see, whatever we see has a direct connection to how we feel. So if we train our eyes to see only goodness, then we're going to have only good images in our head. We're going to have only good consciousness in our head. And it's not that we have to lie to ourselves and we have to act about it. It's the truth. Everything in this world is good. If I love you guys to go to Breshit and read the first sentences over and over. We see it, we hear it, but it doesn't sink in. Everything was created and is good. Even the Creator had to confirm it with his own eyes. He says he created something, then he look at it, and then he says it's good. So, and we are made in the image of the Creator. So, the power of our eyes, the light of our eyes tells us who we are. If I believe that my life, what I see in my life is bad, then that's a lack. Then that's a weakness. That's an opening to the Satan. There is a lot of people, they don't look at certain things. I told you guys before, don't look at bad emails. Don't send on bad news to each other. It's fake, it's not real, it's an illusion. So we don't pass on bad news. We don't tell bad news to each other. We don't see bad because we don't want to create lack and weakness to ourselves and other people. We won't say anything before our eyes is confirm it. In order for me to say something, I have to look at it first, and I have to confirm it in my eyes. So look how powerful our eyes is. We thought it's just one part of our body that we are capable of seeing it, but it's controlling our mind, it's controlling our conscious, it's controlling who we are, it's controlling our lackness and controlling our weakness. If I look at the bad news and I let it take over me, then I'm going to have a bad day. Then it's going to manifest itself in a bad way. So, if I train myself to see good, then I'm raising the bar of my happy conscious. Then I'm raising the bar of my reality. Then I'm buying more time. Then I have more time. The seeing good, feeling good, buy us more time. Feeling bad, complaining, being sad, take away time from us. Remember the story of last week? We said there was a journey from Egypt, from darkness. Egypt is a metaphor for darkness, sadness, lack, weakness, to Israel, which is all the goodness, all the happiness. It took them 40 years. Why? Because they were complaining and rebelling and hating, and with their eyes, I don't like this place, I don't like this food, I don't like my position. It took them 40 years. But in reality, it takes only 11 days to walk from Egypt to Israel. Now let's take it further. We're talking about time. If you use the nature, if you use the animal, for example, that journey is going to be even shorter. It's going to, if you take a horse or camel, then you're going to stretch the time toward your own benefit. If you use the nature. Guess what? if you use the law of the nature and you build yourself a car, if you know physics, if you know chemistry, if you know how to put things together, then you can drive from Egypt to Israel maybe for a day. The car is not something from a different planet. The car is something within our world. So how you build the car? With wisdom, with knowledge, with understanding. The same thing like the Torah and the Zohar. It's the knowledge, it's the wisdom, it's the understanding that's going to make our journey shorter. And guess what? How about the airplane? If you take this wisdom, if you take this understanding and knowledge even further and you build the airplane, you can fly within 1 hour from Egypt to Israel. So can you compare the 1 hour to 40 years? So if you understand the wisdom of this universe, if you understand the laws, if you obey the law, if you follow the law of this universe, it's going to take you 1 hour to get from darkness to light. But if you're confused, if you're lost, if you're complaining, if you're sad, if you don't know the laws, if you see only the reality, it takes you 40 years. But if you use your wisdom and consciousness, you use the tools that the nature gives you, in our case the Torah and the Zohar, then the journey is going to be much faster. I'm going to summarize the class. We are within the 1 hour, right? So I want you guys, not only for this week, not only for night of, only see good, only speak good. Bring the goodness to your consciousness. The key to healthy, happy, successful life is to see good, because our mind, our consciousness, our wisdom follow our eyes. Our eyes create the image, create the reality for our consciousness. So there is a trick how we can always feel this goodness. That's why we have the Zohar books. So we're going to book number 1, page 26. Before the class I told you to mark sentence number 1, 2, 3, 4. In the middle of the sentence there is a word starts with tuvach. So I want you to mark this section. I want you to remember. Each time you feel down, each time you feel low, each time you feel confused, complaining, sad, depressed, you need to inject this light of goodness to yourself. So we're going to repeat this sentence 3 times, and I want you to mark it in your books. If you don't have your book with you, again, your page number 1, book number 1, page 26. At the top, it says the word Tuvach Ganiz Begavech. In Aramaic, it means, in English, means goodness is concealed within it, within you. So whatever it is, whatever the challenge, whatever the issue is, it says the goodness is within it. We have a lack, we have a weakness, we cannot see the goodness within it. So please repeat after me 3 times, and we're going to say it in English also 3 times. One more time, you're saying this to inject goodness in any negative day or part or issue that you're dealing with right now. Tuvech Ganiz Begavech. Ganiz Begavech. Tuvech Ganiz Begavech. And the last time, Tuvech Ganiz Begavech. And we're going to say it in English also. In English, we're going to say it in a different way, that light is with me and I'm with light. Light is with me, and light is, I'm with light. So light is with me, and I am with light. So